All right, guys, we're going to start. Again, allow me to apologize for the delay. It's not fair for anybody who's been on time to wait, but I mean, again, it doesn't make sense for us to repeat a lot of things for people who haven't showed up. In case you're in the wrong room, this is the social media. This is not the social media panel. This is not the social media panel. This is the streaming video panel. I'm going to start with a small discussion about what this panel is going to cover, and then we'll get a round of introductions of each of my speakers and jump to a couple of questions, and then we'll leave the questions to the audience to see how much we can answer within the allocated time that we have. So generally, this is about streaming media. Of course, it's online, on mobile. All the topics that we're going to be talking about today will relate around that. We know that in the US, this market is much more mature than it is here. We've got Hulu, Netflix. Even the trends that YouTube has started launching in the US aren't available relatively in this region yet. I've got a very interesting mix of speakers with me today, so I'm hoping they'll be able to answer the questions in a couple of different perspectives on this topic. I'm going to start by introducing my first speaker here, Mr. Mostafa Kamel, Managing Director of LINKOnline. Mostafa and LINKOnline have a lot of offerings in terms of digital media, and I'd like him to give us a bit of information about his background personally, and then what LINKOnline is doing in terms of the streaming media industry and the video industry in general.
You want to start now, or are you going through? Okay.
Yes.
We have been working with digital media for quite some time now. Since 2001, we started with audio. Having a direct relation with audio producers, music producers in the region, asking them to bring their assets online, and that was very, very difficult at that time. Today, most of music producers have a digital media or new media subsidiary on the side or a unit. The same is happening now with videos. 2 or 3 years ago, when I used to talk to movie producers about having their movies online, internet was the enemy for them. Internet means killing their productions. It's theft. It's pirated content. And to convince them that we can generate revenues, we can generate use cases by having these movies and these productions online, that was very, very difficult. But today, most of them know how to differentiate between the rights, because the right issue is very, very complicated when it comes to movies, because it's not just you are buying a movie, you're just buying which right of the movie. Do you want to buy the DVD right, the digital rights, which digital, mobile or web, which use case? Are you going to cut the movie into pieces, or you just stream it as one? You want to download or rent? All of each right of this formats have a price, and that what makes it a very difficult sale or buy transaction.
Thanks. Moving on to Mr. Abe Naga, Online Business Manager at NBC Group. Abe also comes from a LINKOnline background a while ago, and he's now the Online Business Manager at NBC Group for the video part, specifically, of course, Shahid.net. Abe, can you give us a bit of a background about what kind of experience you personally have, and then tell us what Shahid.net is all about?
All right. So ShahidOnline is it's a free online video on demand service. We basically aggregate content from a number of different TV channels or production studios, and we put it on Shahid. Shahid originally started back in 2008 as a purely catch-up service for NBC content. A lot of people were thinking that digital video is a disruptive technology and it's going to affect TV negatively, but we thought oppositely, actually. Having our content online and letting people catch up and watch these shows online actually increases viewership on TV, so it actually affects it positively. So we started with our catch-up service back in 2008, and to our surprise, we had a lot of traffic. In our first month of launching, we got 1 million unique users in Ramadan, so it was very surprising. We kept on the service for 2 years, and last year we decided that we want to expand on what Shahid is, and instead of just being a catch-up service for NBC products, we want to have a complete aggregation service. So we rebranded Shahid and we relaunched it into what it is today, which is Shahid.net. And today we have a huge selection of content that we get from other providers as well.
Thanks. It's a good summary. Next is Marcus Siddons, Head of Digital Media at Sony Pictures. Marcus, you've only been in this region for 3 months, practically speaking.
2 years.
No, yourself, but Sony, Sony Pictures.
Yes, that's right.
It's only been 3 months, so
Correct.
we're going to try to avoid asking questions of where you guys been and where's your content, and we'll try to gear it more towards what is your role set up to be, and why did you decide to launch in this region at this time?
Sure. As he's just quite correctly said, we're only 3 months in, so it's very early days. But as Sony Pictures, we are primarily we're creating TV shows. That's both original content created here from scratch and adapting existing formats from the States. Obviously, Sony Pictures has a huge catalogue of scripted and non-scripted content, which we're looking to bring over here. Sony Pictures are dead serious about this part of the world and see it as a huge opportunity. It's worth also flagging that my background prior to Sony Pictures was in a media agency, so within digital media planning and buying. So I can kind of bring that perspective onto how we actually monetize this as well.
I'm sure it's going to be some good insight in today's panel. The last and equally important panelist today, Hosam Sokkari, Head of Audience at Yahoo Middle East. Hosam, you're also able to provide us with a lot of information when it comes to behavior on your portals. But what is it exactly that you handle at Yahoo, and why do you focus so much on this kind of content in this region?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Yahoo Maktoob, because I think those of you who have been here yesterday heard the example mentioned several times that this acquisition of Yahoo for Maktoob as an Arabic original company that was established 1990 was a milestone in the development of the digital content industry in the region. Yahoo Maktoob was acquired by the end of 2009, and from the moment of its acquisition we have been working hard on integrating the systems between Maktoob as an Arabic portal and Yahoo as an international company. Over the past months we managed to complete quite a significant proportion of this integration, and we started launching the global products of Yahoo in Arabic, the most significant of which is the Metro page, the front page of Yahoo that works now in Arabic and works with what we call a content optimization engine that recognizes the behavior of the user and surfaces the content that matches his interests based on the trends of his usage over the past months. And equally also we were working on creating partnerships in the region, one of which was the famous agreement that we had with Rotana, where the framework was around streaming Rotana's content on Yahoo Maktoob pages as part of our digital platform for video, the video on demand platform that we have. And we started last Ramadan offering some of the religious content that Rotana has, as well as entertainment content, TV series and the like. And we are still talking to Rotana about the implementation of the rest of this agreement, and hopefully we'll be seeing soon more content from Rotana. In addition, also we are going to be launching later this year a long-form viewing platform to allow users to enjoy entertainment content like movies, plays, and the like. So my role is to put the audience strategies and the content strategies for Yahoo Middle East, and also to understand how we can complement the offer in order to be able to grow this industry in the region. One of the key messages that I would like to put at some point in time is the fact that content is not king, contrary to what most of us say all the time. I'm not saying this to be just controversial, but it's not just about content. It's about an optimum synergy between content and form. Marshall McLuhan said it a long time ago, that the medium is a message. And the medium plays a significant role in how we can reach our audience. You cannot just throw content on any website and it's not going to work on its own. You have to reach that synergy, and that's what the digital industry will be providing the traditional industry with. And I'm saying this from my background as a former head of BBC Arabic, radio, online, and TV, and as someone who started writing about the internet since 1993. And I think right now probably is the time to start merging these experiences together, the experience of the traditional broadcasters and the content creators in the region, the traditional heritage that we have in terms of content, and migrating that into the new platforms and offering it to our audiences in a compelling way, using the technologies that today we can offer them. Thank you.
Excellent. Going to start with my first question, which I mean, obviously is the question to be asked at first. In terms of behavior, are we really seeing a lot of people watching streaming video online in this region? And I'd like to start with Abe, if you guys don't mind, see his perspective on it.
Actually, yes. As I said, we launched early back in 2008, and in our first month of launching...
I think you need to come closer to the mic or move it.
So, I was saying, we launched back in 2008, and in our first month of launching, we got 1 million unique users watching our content in the month of Ramadan. Traffic usually is a lot higher in Ramadan because TV viewership is higher in Ramadan, but over the years, so in 2008, 2009, and 2010, we've grown from 1 to 1.7 to 1.8 million unique users, and we had 2 million media views, 7 million, and then 8 million media views year on year.
Again, sorry, the numbers are important, and you're running through
Okay.
them. So this year, you have how many viewers?
So, we'll start off back in 2008. We had 1 million unique viewers in 2008. 2009 we went up to 1.7, and then 1.10, 1.8.
Okay.
Okay. Media views generated are 2 million media views back in 2008. In Ramadan we went up to 7 million, and then 8 million in 2010.
Okay.
So that shows that there is a lot of demand for video content online. People are now demanding watching long-form content online and catching up on stuff that they miss on TV. So there is a demand for long-form content, yes.
Okay. Mustafa, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, we work with different type of media. We work mainly with movies, and movies have a very seasonal trends. In the summer, that's the peak time. In Ramadan, for instance, this is not a season for movies. It's more of a season for TV series and TV shows. So in our peak seasons, we used to see 100,000 downloads a day. And that is a huge number when it comes to movies and distribution of movies. That maybe this is not a number that the movie producer would see in a theater in a one single day. But of course, this is a peak. It's a spike business. A movie would stay at that peak for like a week or 2 weeks maximum, and then starting to drop down till another movie would pick up. And this is definitely different than a series business.
Okay, and all of you have more or less of a video on demand service that charges a premium price for watching other content.
We don't charge.
No,
You don't charge.
I'm the
We
only
don't
one
fulfill.
charging.
free advertising-based solution. So
Yeah, but we're
the
talking.
content is free.
I'm talking across all platforms here. So your mobile services, for example,
Yes.
you do charge.
Yeah. We do. It's not part of Shahid, but we do have content like mobisodes and stuff that people can subscribe to and get content.
Okay, Marcus, in terms of offerings, what are you guys looking at having as a business model? A purely free of charge service, a freemium service? Any plans so far?
I think the reality is it will be a hybrid, but I think the reality of people paying for such content online is very tough right now, especially in this part of the world. So I think ad-funded is the way it has to be right now. I think the distinct advantage that we would have as a business, of course, is that our costs in terms of licensing and royalties are minimal, because it would be largely our own content. And I think that's one of the key points, although I mostly agree with the content is not necessarily always king point. I think when you're operating on very small margins, it becomes incredibly important, because when you're paying out big licensing fees and royalties, then there ain't much money left to make it a worthwhile project. So there's a lot of different ways you can look at that. So in terms of our business model, it is very much TBC at this stage. There's a lot of fantastic work that the guys have done in the States that I'll be looking to potentially roll out here.
Okay, thanks. Hosam, in terms of, and you're saying content is not always king, it's the channel. But let's look at it in a bit of
I didn't say it's the channel. I said it's a combination.
What?
It's an optimum combination between the form and the
Completely
content.
agreed.
Yep.
Do you think, or in your experience working with providers like BBC, Al Jazeera, and everybody, and Reuters, and everybody that you've been working with, Do you see the trend of them trying to create content that is web only, as in the general definition of webisodes?
I think the trend is to understand what sort of platforms are you planning to run your content on. And there's a growing interest in creating formats that would be malleable enough to be able to stream them on different platforms. But I think one of the key issues here also is educating the industry. We have quite a lot of analog content in the region that is worth digitizing, and sometimes it is being digitized more than once under different standards. And we need to work with the industry in the region to be able to create the standards for them and to be able to get them to understand the importance of adhering to these standards, because doing it once means that you will be able to stream your content with more than one distributor.
Okay. Abe, I know that NBC does create some mobisodes or web-related content for their own produced shows. Is this a trend that is a plan of applying onto all the local productions? Is it a trend that is specific to some primetime shows? What is the approach to mobile-only or web-only content that's exclusive of the air?
We don't create exclusive content for mobile. What we do is we repurpose specific content for mobile. So, because of the nature of mobile devices, it's very hard to stream full video content. So,
yeah.
Getting a 45-minute show on your mobile is going to cost the user a lot more money. So what we do is we repurpose clips into 5-minute episodes and mobisodes and give people previews of what's going to happen tomorrow. And this is the premium content, so you can watch the show today, but if you want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, you could subscribe, opt in, and pay. So that is something we've been working with in the past. It's proven successful, but I don't think we could apply that to all our shows, so we have to be selective with what kind of shows we do that for.
Okay, and in terms of the approach, are there plans to match this with the Western standard of allowing a lot of interactivity, creating elements or spin-offs of series that only exist online? I know that none of this actually currently exists, but are there plans of this? Are you guys seeing this in the future? Is there a new interactive, rich platform that is to be expected in the next, let's say, 5 years?
We definitely are. We're bridging the gaps between TV media, mobile, and online is very important. So we have been experimenting a lot with that and doing a lot, taking our brands across these different platforms. So yes, there is stuff currently happening, and there is a lot more potential for things to happen in the future.
Okay, Mostafa, in terms of content owners, do you see difficulty in them placing content online now, after all the education that's been done, after the understanding of the fact that this is not piracy and that putting content online actually helps promote the shows? Do you still see a lot of reluctance in people putting their content online?
The very short answer is yes, but it's getting better. What I was saying, for movie producers, they used to sell to large aggregators like Rotana or maybe to MC groups, including all rights, starting from the negative right to digital rights. But today, most of them are selling only what do you need. They ask Rotana, for instance, and tell them, you want a TV broadcast right? Then this is all what you have, but just leave the other rights because I'm going to resell it for others. So they sell mobile rights for operators or their vast providers. They sell digital rights for whoever can pay or can afford that rights. So they're starting to learn from a money perspective, not from a future market or expansion to the current market that they operate in right now.
Okay. And in terms of growth, do you think this is actually one of the main factors of online content growing in this region, besides, of course, the fact of bandwidth limitations, which
yes,
cannot be controlled?
the more movie producers and studios decide to go online, the more that we will have more professional content consumed, because we see the difference in traffic when it comes to a brand new movie or movie with a star compared to a movie with medium stars or medium actors, or a very old movies like even from the 90s. And we had long discussions about defining what is old content, what is library, and what is current content. And their term of library, that means 10 years ago. And my term of library is what happened last year. This is a library for me, because I'm very restricted in what are people asking for, what are people searching for. And no one is searching for a 1990 movie, but they're searching for a movie that is either playing right now or just from few months ago.
Okay. Marcus, you mentioned the fact that Sony will be working on locally produced elements in addition to the Western produced content. Does that include special productions of online-only content? Do you guys have plans of kind of gearing it a little bit to a bit of a next level, knowing that you just entered the market and get that as an advantage?
Yes, we do, undoubtedly. I mean, being entirely honest, it's very early days, so there's nothing concrete in that respect, but that's why I'm here, so that's what I need to be doing for sure. I think the general point here is we've got a chicken and egg situation that we're all aware of, that yes, we need more Arabic content, but at the same time, until the actual ad dollars start rolling in, it's very hard to justify that. I think in general, there's been a relatively poor job being done actually at selling online video content from an ad perspective, because if you look at the digital ad market out here, it's very much back to front in terms of what's happened in Western markets, which were very much performance-led, i.e. affiliate search, etc. We've jumped straight into sort of awareness-based digital marketing activity here. Most of the clients here are very, very familiar with TV advertising, so therefore one would think that online video was an easy step. And I really believe it is, and I think it's more about how it's packaged and sold to advertisers. Yes, the lack of Arabic content is a headache, but I think actually if we can get more dollars coming in, then that makes that second part a heck of a lot easier.
Okay, I'm going to ask one last question, and then I'll turn the question to the audience. And the question is more of, how are you guys going to bridge your platforms, or ever do that, if that's ever going to happen? I mean, NBC has their own portal. Rotana has their own deal with Yahoo. You guys will probably have your own platform. You guys as well. You have your own content that you source. It's the previous season of something that is on demand, but you probably won't even have it, depending on if content providers give it to you or not. Why is it that there's? I mean, I know the same question applies in the U.S. Not everybody wants to be on the same platform. But why is it that? What would be the main hinder behind putting all the content under one platform and creating a bit of a profit-sharing business model?
Does this happen in the text world? I mean, you have the same model for text and for pictures and for video. I don't think anybody would be expecting us to have all the content in one form, in one place. You are opening different distribution channels, and you are making it possible for users across a large bandwidth to consume where they want to go and where they exist. But I think I just want to go back to the point that you mentioned earlier, because it's really important. I think our success in this business is to be able to demonstrate to the content producers that they will benefit from extending the experience online. And doing this is not just going to happen by putting exactly the same content that we have produced for a different platform. It's by creating other extensions, either by putting footage that hasn't been shown before on the TV show, or by creating an interactive experience where people will be part of the creation of the show probably, or part of the way the show will be running, or an integral part of how this show is going to be evaluated and is going to go forward. So that synergy between the different platforms and the introduction of the human element, or the crowdsourcing element into the production cycle itself can reflect extremely positively on what we do on online, and at the same time also on the life cycle of these products when they emerge from within the production company itself. That will be taken care of and will be thought of from inception till delivery.
Okay, and in terms of accepting that responsibility, what would be the next steps to actually help do this? If you guys had the capability of, grabbing somebody and telling them, we need more content, what is it that you would need? How would you see the next steps? I mean, admitting the problem is half the solution. What is the other half? What do we do?
But two things. I mean, one is ideas. I think we need to work together on creating a model that everybody would be comfortable with. Mostafa said it earlier. People were reluctant to give their assets because they were worried about the potential damage that they may have if they put these assets online at a time when they are made originally for television.
I think he's talking to you, Abe.
Sorry?
Me? Sorry.
No. I mentioned
in terms of not putting your
mentioned
content
it.
online.
No, but I think it's no, but I mean, it is a fair concern. If you have a movie that you spend quite a lot of money on, and then you give it to an online platform immediately as soon as it's released, knowing that people will take it on video from the movie theater itself, you have to worry about it. So if you work on security, for example, if you work on the issues that the original content creators are worried about, and demonstrate that in practice, and try to convince them to take risks with you. But you have to be honest and open about it. You know, we are creating something for the survival of this industry and for its growth. And we are working with you on developing ideas and models that we believe will be of shared benefit to everyone. And then we have to take the risk, do it together, and then learn from that experience. And in honesty, we have to review that back and see, you know, how did it go? Can we improve it further? And so on and so forth.
Anybody else has anything to add in terms of?
I'd like to comment on the whole piracy thing. Piracy does affect content owners very negatively, but it affects online video industry positively because online video is a way to combat piracy. It's not going to allow piracy to happen. Piracy is not going to happen whether we want it to or not. We're not going to be able to stop it. But letting content be available online through legal channels is actually a way to combat piracy. That way, the content owners can make incremental revenue on their content through online platforms, whether it's mobile, whether it's through websites or whatever. So that is the key thing, convincing the content owners that this is beneficial for them, it's not going to actually harm them, but it's actually going to make them more money, and it's going to combat the piracy issue.
For me, answering your question about if you would like to be open or have an open platform for all content, I would say yes. Because me as a user, I don't want to go to Shufha to see movies and then go to Shahid and see TV series and then go to Yahoo and see other kind of formats. I would like to see as a user all the content that I want from one place. And we're open for that if any of the studios or MBC would like to work with us.
Marcus, I think you're the only one who can comment on that now.
I think the point about piracy is a very, very valid one. I think in terms of when films are released, I think as long as the rights are clear and they're negotiated properly up front, I don't think there needs to be a headache in that respect. The problem comes when things aren't actually closed down properly at the very beginning.
Okay.
And I think that has been a problem in this
So it's looking back at how it was done, that's the problem.
Yeah, so I think as long as you're clear contractually from day one, I don't see there's a problem.
Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
Joanna Duba, Media Link International. I just want to ask you guys, you were talking about piracy, and because I work in the media, I know that there are a lot of video-on-demand websites that are completely pirated, like talfasat.com, for example. And I know this because we've produced shows that are on Talfazat that no one contacted us about. We didn't know that they were going to put them. They didn't give us any kind of like royalty or anything. So my question is, if you guys are worried about content providers being worried about piracy, and you guys have rights for the shows, I'm sure that are on Talfazat, why don't you guys try to combat this piracy and set kind of a precedent so that the content providers aren't worried. They know that if they give you their content, you're going to take care of it and you're going to protect it.
But that's what they were saying, no?
Yes, you're talking about digital right management kind of protection to the files.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there are so many websites that are piracy-based websites that no one is doing anything about.
So are you talking about why don't they join forces and
for
attack
example,
torrent sites
NBC,
or peer-to-peer sites?
For example, NBC, okay? I'm sure that there are so many of your shows that are also on their website, and if you had a premium service, that would be like completely contradictory to your service, and people would just go and watch them for free on that one, and they're gaining from advertisements on your shows that you own completely illegally.
We do try to combat piracy in the sense that whenever we find any of our content that's available on another site, we contact these people and we take legal action. We send them messages telling them to take down the content. But it's really impossible to cover every single website out there. There's a lot of websites that it's almost virtually impossible to find out who this website belongs to, how to contact these people, and it's just this link that takes you to another link, takes you to a third link, and People
Yeah.
are getting a lot smarter
I
in
know.
pirating content.
I know, we tried.
So, yeah, it's impossible to really cover that all, but we are taking steps. So with reputable websites like, for example, YouTube, we do have agreements with YouTube on trying to combat piracy. Websites that belong to people that we can actually contact and find. We do try to stop piracy on these websites. A lot of the piracy that's happening is on social media websites. So people would upload the content on a forum, and it's just the site claims no responsibility. But we also do contact these people and we tell them, okay, although this is not you're not putting the content, the user are. Please take it down because the user doesn't have the right to do that. And we're taking steps in that direction.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I actually wanted to just push back a little bit on, you made a really contentious statement about content not being king. And all right, I agree with you that it's a hybrid between content and the service. To reformulate what you said, what we're trying to do, I think all of us in the industry, is talk about that the user is now king, because they want to get their content, whatever content they want, whenever they want, however they want, on whatever devices, etc. That's kind of the zeitgeist of what we're all doing. Now, in order to do that, every one of you have a different service. Now, the qualitative level of those services is also going to be high at a certain point, but that makes content the differentiator. Content may not be king, but it'll still be one of the most important elements in making your service more attractive to the user. Now, if you aggregate it all in one place, you're giving the user everything they want. Now, I want to understand how you plan on doing this when there's, well, for one, there's an elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about your weight, Abe. NBC has the majority of the content. Now, how are you going to give the user everything that they want when you've got one player that has a majority of the content and they're launching their own system? How would you like to integrate? What is your differentiator?
Okay, well, 2 points to your question. The first one, I'm glad that you picked on the content is not king. And I'm happy that we are rephrasing this together. It's not about saying that content doesn't mean anything. It's about saying that content is a king amongst other kings, and we have to consider them all. It could be the user, it could be the platform, it could be the whole overall experience. But you have to think of everything together, not just content. And definitely content is a differentiator. And it would make your services stand out against other services. You have many elephants in the room, not just one elephant. You have an elephant for TV drama series, you have an elephant for video clips, you have an elephant for music and songs, you have an elephant for movies. You have lots of smaller elephants that together can be a big elephant, which are the independent production companies that have not yet joined any of the big elephants. So to imagine that you have an ecosystem that has only one elephant, I think is counterproductive. And more importantly, we need to help the industry create much smaller elephants. We are talking about crowdsourcing as a way of providing content. We are now a few weeks away from a big revolution in which people or users decided to create their own fate. And the heavy reliance on the electronic environments in these recent changes will tell you how far users are going. And it is not unimaginable that we'll be seeing bigger platforms in the near future where you have people taking it on their hands, providing their own content in a very compelling way, and in a way that can be very challenging for traditional producers, either online or in the traditional platforms. So we need to think about that all, and that will be back again to your user as a king. So there is a lot of content, there is a lot of talent in the region, and you shouldn't really rely on only one elephant or two elephants in the room. That's one. In terms of differentiation, our strategy and our strength is really in our ability to reach audience. It is true that you may have more or less the same on different distribution channels on the internet. But that's a model that has been there for a long time. You have Reuters in every single newspaper today on the planet. You have AFP in almost every single newspaper. But it depends on the overall package that you're offering your users. What we in Yahoo do is that we bring everything together. We are very agnostic to competition in the sense that we have Gmail integration on our platform, we have Facebook integration, we have Twitter integration. What we're saying here is that we are open to the experience, and we would like you to come to us and do whatever you want. And we'll provide you with as much content as we can provide you with. And that's what we are doing. So creating that environment where people can consume content and using our reach drivers, our mail and messenger, which are our key assets, allowed us, from the launch of the first Arabic portal for Yahoo till February, which is a few weeks ago, to have something like 70% of the total online population. We have something like 44 million unique users today, out of 65. And that's because of this compelling experience, the experience that you have, your communication tools, your messenger tools, your ability to access other services that I have mentioned, your ability to access news, information, entertainment, all of that in one place. But at the same time, it doesn't deny the others the right of being able to expose their content or other content in other platforms.
Abe, anything you'd like to, any disclaimers you'd like to say? We know you're the online manager, you have nothing to do with the licensing of the shows, just for everybody to know, he's not really the elephant in the room.
Hosam does have a point, yeah, we really can't compare Yahoo to Shad because they're two completely different services. Yahoo is a portal that does provide a lot of different services, mail, messaging, content, streaming content, so it really isn't a fair comparison. I forgot my train of thought. So my point is, we really can't compare. Shahid as a content aggregation service, its sole purpose is to aggregate video content. What we're trying to do is we're trying to let users enjoy long-form video content, premium video content, wherever, whenever, however they want it. So we ourselves are trying to aggregate that content. So we are trying to get content from other TV channels and from other content owners. It's not just NBC's content. So there is a difference between what Shahid is and what NBC is. So how Shahid works with other players is completely different from how NBC works with other players. Now, the advantage that NBC has in being vertically integrated into the value chain of the TV industry is we create our content, we have our own TV channels, and we have our own aggregation service. So one of our advantages is that we have exclusivity for specific titles that gives us a competitive edge over other players. At the end of the day, we're in this to make money. Everybody's in this to make money. This is a business. And in business, you have competition, and you need to have your own competitive edge against other players. So this is basically it.
Okay.
I think it's a critical point, and I think when you're operating on what are very small margins in the area we're talking about right now, owning that content is critical. And I think we can talk long and hard about the role for a portal such as Yahoo, but when you are operating at such small margins, when you're having to aggregate and buy in that content, it's very hard making that equation stack up. And I think whichever way you look at it, cost per thousand rates have to come down in this part of the world. So, actually, it's been a great few years for online advertising. Volume's going up, ad spend is not keeping track with it. Yes, bandwidth is going to go down, but hopefully people are going to be consuming more online video. So costs in real terms are not actually, I don't think, going to go down necessarily. So it's going to be a very tough, competitive marketplace.
Thanks. Next question, please.
Hi, do you have any plans to have your content available on other platforms such as the iTunes Store, Netflix, or so on? And if not, is it due to a concern of we're not comfortable with the commissions they take per transaction? Are we not sure about the demographics of interest in Arabic content?
So is your question specific to having local content on the iTunes US store?
Basically,
and Netflix, not like a Middle East version of Netflix?
No. What I'm saying is each one of the members here have their own content source, and that same content or part of it, would you want to make it available to other stores? If I'm an Arab
but these stores are not available here. There is no iTunes video store here. There is no Netflix.
We're talking about, Fawzi, we're talking about making it available in iTunes US or iTunes Europe.
Okay, so in the global stores.
In the global stores, yes.
For probably expats living there.
Again, we need to make it clear the differentiation between what, for example, a service like Shahid is and what NBC as a broadcaster or as a content creator does. So these are completely two different functions within the same organization. Now, Shahid, as a VOD service, it aggregates content. It doesn't distribute it. Its purpose is to deliver content to the consumers. Now, whether NBC allows its content to be available on other platforms, that is a completely different story. And I think there is definitely opportunities to have NBC's content available on different stores globally.
But it's a key issue actually, because when you have content creators who are able to offer a platform for the content, you have to go one of two ways. Either you assume that you will benefit more by keeping your content on platform or your platform, or you think that you may be able to expose your content to a larger audience and share revenue around it. And I'm not here to try to convince NBC or anyone with either of these ways, but this is a key issue. You know, from my perspective, I probably would think that having one more shop or a number of shops or another chain taking the NBC brand and the NBC content and displaying it and generating ads or revenue around it, or pay-per-view revenue that can be shared, may be of benefit. But maybe the strategy also of some of the companies, if they have the size and the scale, that they think that they can open as many shops as they like, and they will be able to deliver to probably a larger number of people and benefit more. So it's an equation that you have to see where you stand in relation to.
I think we're at a very early stage of this industry here in the region, and there's a lot of things that they're going to fold out as we go in time. Today, a lot of the decisions that are being made are mainly strategic decisions. It's not necessarily how much money are we going to make today. Everybody's looking at the long run. Sure. Back to the point, where we put our content today is mainly a strategic decision that's made to support Shad as a product and be able to grow it. How things are going to fold out in the next 5 years, everything's going to change probably, and nobody really knows how things are going to happen.
I think it's also a matter of the content producers accept to have their content being distributed in markets that they were not planning for. They don't have a theatrical access to, like maybe in Canada, in North Europe, in the US. It's a matter of time. Like we're now having our content reproduced and redistributed through Comcast in America, for instance. And this is an access because they wanted to have that kind of addressing the Arab demographics in the US. The same is when we got surprised when we got many transactions coming from North America, from Europe, for people asking for subtitles, which we were not planning for. But now we have added subtitles to our content as well, because now this is the second generation of Arabs living abroad, but they know about Arabic movies, but they even cannot understand Arabic. So they wanted the subtitles. So I think it's coming, and the more that we market for our local content outside of the region, the more that we'll see more demands from Netflix approaching any of us asking for our content as well.
I think it's also, can I just add to that very quickly? Hardware will play a role in this, and I would say this because I'm from Sony Pictures and I'm very biased, of course. But of course, as part of the Sony group, we make TVs and Blu-ray players and PlayStations, etc. And I think that for us will be something that's very interesting in terms of how we can work with that part of the business.
So it would be not probable for Sony Pictures to have something on the Xbox store or on something other apart from a PlayStation, Sony device, Blu-ray, etc., etc.
Never say never. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's improbable.
Don't know.
Okay, not being able to get an answer to that. Somebody had a question here.
So my question is, I see Sony as the biggest threat for you guys because they come with a studio backing them. There's quality. We talk about content, but quality is key. People are exposed to international movies, TV shows, and whether they understand it or not, visually, it's appealing to them.
Sorry, this is your personal opinion. This is not something that can be said to the
exactly,
panel. Ultimately, each one has his own quality of content, which is
but it's obvious.
Again,
that's just a preface to my question. My question is, what are you guys doing are you reaching out to the content providers to help them, give you better quality? There's great stories, but visually, that's a problem. And, when Sony comes in, if it starts producing content in Arabic, unfortunately, people are I feel personally that might be a problem for the Arabic viewers. They're just going to naturally just go to where it's more sophisticated. Do you have an outreach program or a support program for production companies, or is it just providing the platform for them?
Thanks. Ultimately, what I think I'll have LINKOnline and Yahoo kind of answer this, knowing that you guys are the most neutral in terms of requesting content. But I think the main question is, irrespective of the quality or everything else, do you guys set standards or push or request from your production companies or content providers higher qualities, or do you reject content based on that? I'm sorry, this is the closest thing I can get to in a question because...
And if rejecting it, do you help them?
Thanks. So,
yes, we work with movie studios almost all day, working on converting their tapes and movie tapes into digital formats to a quality that we can accept and a quality that can be viewed on a full screen streaming without any glitches, without any pixelization in the screens. And we work also with their audio syncing and everything regarding that matter. But to answer your question about being the users would move to Sony, maybe yes, maybe not, but again, this depends on what Sony is going to produce or release in this region. You definitely watch Western movies on certain channels, but to watch your local movies, local Arabic movies or series, you go to different channels. And it's not expected that you see everything on one place when it comes to that kind of question that you were asking.
no pressure, Marcus, yeah? Just extremely high expectations, but no pressure.
They decide to release Arabic movies.
Sorry?
Unless Sony is starting to release Arabic movies.
Yeah, which is
Hosam, your thoughts on this? And again,
I think it's,
also, please also include if you guys have requested things like metadata, chapter definitions.
Yeah, but I think if I'm not wrong, your question is not just about the technical quality of what is being offered.
Content is the way it's presented.
And,
production value.
and to be honest with you, I don't think the industry that we are in now does not have the muscle to force production companies to change their course in terms of how they produce content. So we are not going to, at this stage, I don't think we are able to enforce something on the plot or the way, unless we really commission and produce. And I think that's very expensive, and the models that we work with do not sustain this from a business perspective at this stage. I mean, maybe Sony can do something about it because they will be originating content. Maybe we do a little bit about it when we start commissioning content. I'm commissioning content now, and I can enforce quality on the little bit that I'm doing now, but it's not going to be something at the scale that you're talking about. And I think the task that you're talking about is not really for us, and not even for the production companies, it's for the users. Because the degree of maturity that I can see now growing in the region in many aspects will enforce a different standard in everything, not just in politics, but it will be enforcing a different standard in production for TV series, for TV programs, as well as for probably movie and entertainment. So it's again the user who will be able to dictate by his interest or lack of it in certain types of content. And when we are bitten by that, or the industry, the traditional industry, we will definitely be in a better position to talk more loudly about the importance of looking at the quality of content from a conceptual perspective.
Thanks, Hosam.
I could just also comment on this. So with regards to, if you look at the TV value chain, you've got the content creators, the studios and the different content creators. You've got the TV channels that are taking the content from the content creators. You've got the channel aggregators, like the cable networks, like the Showtimes and all that. And you've got websites like ours, like content aggregators. So each player in the value chain could affect the one previous or the one they're dealing with. So it really doesn't matter if the content is good. If Sony's producing good content, then a TV channel will take it from it. And if there's a different player that has better content, then other channels will take it. So the TV channels that are broadcasting the content do have at least the power to enforce a specific level of quality on the content creator and so forth. Now, in our case, when the online video industry becomes a multi-million-dollar industry, then we might be able to enforce a specific level of quality. If the web-exclusive content that's being created, the websites will have the authority to question the quality of the content being produced and demand better quality.
And what's exciting, of course, is when we've got a massively young population across this part of the world, 20 to 30% of which have only been online for the last 2 to 3 years, their online behavior is still being shaped massively. So it's not like myself, for example, who's been online for a long time and my behavior is relatively set in its ways. These guys can be steered in lots of directions. So I think, as everyone has said, who knows really where this is going to go in the next 2 to 3 years.
Next question.
Yes, hello. Yeah, hi, George Jaber from Tata Communications. Question on getting the content from the region, not by broadcasting over satellite, but when you mention you want to reach Comcast, Roadrunner, all these, cable TV providers in the US or Europe, have you contemplated discussing transmitting over submarine cables, broadcasting over fiber, like with Etisalat in UAE or QTEL in Qatar, for example? Let's say if we had someone from Al Jazeera, and which operator is contemplating, doing special deals? Because obviously on satellite you have some limitation to broadcast. If you're moving into high definition, high definition, etc., you need to transmit large pipes over probably fiber. Still, the prices of the region here in terms of IPLs are very expensive because these are dedicated circuits. Which country you think is amenable into, doing such broadcasting over fiber?
Is any of you capable of answering this question? I mean, I know none of you guys actually handle the transfer of content from the channel itself to other providers.
No, we're just working with files.
You're asking the wrong people here. They're all in charge of the online platform, so they probably receive the files from the same platform that would deliver such a thing. So,
I think you're talking about delivery to the users.
No. Syndicate, like transferring the content from, let's say, NBC to Comcast in the US. That would not be any of the panel's experience.
Okay. No problem.
Other questions, please? Got one more here. We'll take this one, and then one more question before we close. Well,
hello.
Hello.
I'm wondering more about the revenue side. So obviously the crowd is quite young for long-form video here. There are many models out there, from pure advertising-based, pure subscription-based, freemium, VOD, pay per minute. What do you think is the attitude today for users to pay for content, and what do you think will be the case in a couple of years? I mean, what do you think out of all these models will be the norm in a couple of years?
The status quo is that probably the only paid content that you guys charge for is over mobile. Correct?
In our case, yes.
Yeah, with the exception of Sony, which is yet to launch.
TDC, yeah.
Yes? Do you guys have any plans of launching any other?
In terms of monetization, today our primary source of monetization is through advertising. We're trying to be true to our values and our brand, which is even on TV we operate as free-to-air channels. So we want to let the content be available for everybody to watch, and instead of letting the user pay for that, we're letting the advertisers carry that cost. Now, moving forward, what are the different opportunities for, there's definitely a lot of different opportunities to monetize content through subscription and pay-per-view, but what are we planning on doing? We don't have plans for the immediate future in that area, but there is potential generally to generate revenue from pay-per-view and subscriptions for any kind of content.
So apart from syndication via advertising or subsidizing via advertising, is there any other platform that you guys are looking into?
Yes, we are already working on a transactional based since the day we launched. We already charge our users to pay for the content unless it's ad supported. So for selected movies that we have a sponsor who can offer this piece of content for the indie users for free. But other than that, everything you have to pay. Because
and is it episode based? Is it season based? Are there different plans?
Again, we're working with movies, so movies is much.
Oh, it's only movies.
Yes. Okay. Much easier.
And it's for how much duration? Is it a one-time viewership?
We have different. We have a buy to own and buy to rent and a streaming type of offering.
And ownership is DRM?
Yes.
Okay.
To download anything, it has to be DRM. To stream it, it's not DRM.
It's not DRM. Okay, I'll take one last question from the gentleman here.
Thank you. It's in two parts, really. The first part is, what will be your one-sentence selling point to me as a consumer to make me want to come to your services? That's the first thing.
Good question.
And the second thing is, do you, when you start to do all these things, are you anticipating that a consumer will do more of, use your platforms instead of using all the other different core services like television viewing or cinema or whatever?
So, what is the differentiating aspect that you expect viewers to appreciate in and come and visit you? And the second part of the question is, do you see potential over the other channels? What kind of advantage do they get by accessing
Will I be
the other
watching
channels?
less television because I can watch video online? Will I be watching fewer films at the cinema because I can go to Sony Pictures online? Where do you see this going?
Go ahead.
I think the experience that we are giving through our services is the key. If I tell you that you will get the movie you searched for within few clicks from the time you landed on that page till you actually watch this movie or download this movie, this is a far differentiator from the piracy content that available today in the region. But you have, as Abe said, you have to go through many click after click after click and wait for 60 seconds till you get the file downloaded and that kind of.
So it's a mix between user experience
yes.
and content.
Yes.
Ultimately, which is exactly what was mentioned earlier. Abe?
I would say one of our key differentiators is comprehensive content, comprehensive list. So we've got a lot of different, a large amount of content, free. So that's definitely an added value. And user experience definitely is one of the most important things. So the service itself, the product itself, creating features for the users like recommendations and creating a very user-friendly experience, that is also very key.
In terms of the Sony outlook on how content is served online, do you have any thoughts of what is it that they usually value most or try to offer?
I mean, I think the reality is it will have to remain free for the foreseeable future. It's about building scale for the next couple of years at least. As to exactly what we'll be doing, it's very early days at this stage.
Okay. Hosam, you've already said content is king, not is king. We're not going to go through that topic again.
No, actually, I think he asked, he asked two specific
questions. Yes,
questions.
and the second part is the behavior of people. Do you expect them to be watching less TV, more online, a bit of mobile? Is there a trend that's happening now that you guys can monitor? Are you expecting something to change?
Well, you can see a lot of changes happening now. I was talking to Ayman Shukri from Good News for Me today on breakfast, and he said to me that his wife is no longer just a TV freak. She wakes up every morning and she checks everything that is happening on YouTube by downloading lots of clips and so on and so forth. People are changing. Over the past few months, people have changed quite a lot in terms of how they use new media. But I don't expect this to replace. I don't expect this to replace or substitute another behavior. I'm expecting this to be a complementary behavior. We can do lots of things online that we cannot do on television. You have an immersive, integrated experience through which you get not just the content, but you get the content and the experience of others around this content. I'm not any more interested in just watching the movie or seeing the clip. I'm interested also in what people said about it and how they rated it. And that's a very integral part of the experience. And that's the key driver, in my view, and one of the key differentiators that we will see over the coming years.
And I think the key, as per the name of this panel, is we use the words TV a little bit less and the words video more because, what's clear is that screen time is exploding. So where that's delivered, I think, is less and less relevant.
Okay, sorry, I can't take any more questions. Just to give you guys a bit of break so you can get a quick coffee before the next element starts. Just to kind of recap, we've spoken about the challenges of privacy. We've spoken about the challenges of aggregating all the content on one platform. Content and context are relatively equally important. It really matters what you're watching, but also it equally matters where you're watching it, how you're watching it, what kind of experience you're getting. There were a lot of elephants here in the room, apparently. Content is apparently the king of all elephants, but we'll see how that transforms with the increasingly competitive platforms that are out there. Hopefully we'll have a light at the end of the tunnel and the consolidated portal that would help the consumer just actually look for content and watch it as opposed to keep searching for it. user interest definitely defines the quality of the content that's out there, exactly the same behavior as it does on TV. And the fact that online channels are opening up in order to allow people to consume content doesn't mean that TV is going to be less consumed, or at least for the time being. It just means that they can complement each other, and you can do watching of other parallel series or anything like that. I'd like to thank my panelists today, Mostafa, Abe, Marcus, and Hosam. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that's it for now.
Great.
Thank you.